The old leather box felt heavy in my hands as I sat in a lawyer's office, surrounded by the suffocating silence of expectations. My father's will reading had brought us all here, myself, my mother in her perfectly pressed designer suit, and my brother Marcus, already scrolling through his phone with obvious boredom. To my son Marcus, Mr. Peterson, the family lawyer, began reading in his measured tone. I leave the majority of my estate, including all business holdings, properties, and liquid assets totaling approximately $47 million. Marcus didn't even look up from his phone, just nodded as if he'd known all along. Of course he had. The golden child, the Harvard business graduate, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. To my daughter Olivia, Mr. Peterson continued, his voice softening slightly with what might have been pity. I leave my personal watch collection, specifically the broken Patek Philippe timepiece stored in the study safe. The room fell silent. I felt my mother's sharp intake of breath, heard Marcus's barely suppressed snicker. A broken watch. After 28 years of trying to earn my father's approval, of graduating top of my class in engineering, of building my own modest watchmaking business from scratch, this was what he thought I was worth. Is this some kind of joke? My mother's voice cut through the silence like a blade. Henry's entire watch collection is worth millions. Why would he only leave Olivia the broken one? Mr. Peterson adjusted his glasses uncomfortably. The will is quite specific, Mrs. Turner. The broken Patek Philippe alone goes to Olivia. The rest of the collection goes to Marcus along with the other assets. Marcus finally looked up from his phone, his face split in a mocking grin. Well, that's fitting, isn't it? Dad always said your little watch repair hobby was a waste of time. At least now you have a worthless project to tinker with. I clutched the leather box tighter, my knuckles turning white. Inside was my father's most mysterious possession, a vintage Patek Philippe that had supposedly stopped working decades ago. He'd never let anyone examine it, not even the most renowned watch experts in the country. The will is clear, I said quietly, standing up. Marcus gets his millions. I get the watch. We're done here. Olivia, don't be difficult, my mother sighed, her perfectly manicured fingers drumming against her designer handbag. We can discuss this like adults. Perhaps we can arrange some kind of monthly allowance for you instead. No, I turned towards the door, the leather box tucked securely under my arm. Keep your money. I'll take what Dad left me. Your loss, Marcus called after me as I walked out. Have fun playing with your broken toy while I run the company. I didn't respond. They wouldn't understand anyway. Because while they saw a worthless broken timepiece, I saw something else entirely. In all my years of studying horology and mechanical engineering, I'd never seen my father's mysterious watch up close. He kept it locked away, only taking it out late at night when he thought everyone was asleep. But I'd watched him once, hidden in the shadows of his study. I'd seen how he held it, not like a broken relic, but like a treasure map waiting to be decoded. Now, in my small workshop above my watch repair shop in downtown Boston, I finally had the chance to unlock its secrets. The leather box sat on my workbench, illuminated by the warm glow of my desk lamp. With trembling fingers, I opened it. The Patek Philippe gleamed despite its age, its gold case bearing the subtle patina of decades. At first glance, it looked like any other luxury timepiece from the 1940s. But I knew better. My father wouldn't have protected a simple broken watch so fiercely. I spent hours that first night examining every millimeter of the case, looking for anything unusual. The craftsmanship was exquisite, each detail perfect, too perfect for a supposedly broken watch. When I opened the case back, I found movement that looked pristine, as if it had been serviced recently. Why would you pretend this was broken, Dad? I whispered, adjusting my magnifying loupe to examine the mechanism more closely. What were you hiding? That's when I noticed it, a slight inconsistency in the pattern of the engravings inside the case back. Most people would have missed it, but I'd spent years studying vintage timepieces. This wasn't a flaw, it was deliberate. My heart racing, I reached for my finest tools. If I was right, this wasn't just a watch. It was a puzzle box, the kind that could only be opened by someone who truly understood the intricacies of watchmaking. As I worked through the night, carefully manipulating tiny levers and hidden mechanisms, I thought about my father. He'd never supported my passion for watches, had actively tried to discourage me from opening my own shop, yet he'd left me this, his most closely guarded possession. Finally, just as dawn began to creep through my workshop windows, I heard a soft click. A hidden compartment in the case back sprung open, revealing a carefully folded piece of paper yellow with age. With shaking hands, I unfolded it. Inside, in my father's precise handwriting, were a set of coordinates and a single line of text. For the daughter who sees beyond the surface, follow these coordinates. What you find there will change everything. I stared at the numbers, my mind racing. The coordinates pointed to a location in the Swiss Alps. My father had traveled there frequently for business meetings, always alone, always secretive. Just then, my phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Hope you're enjoying your worthless inheritance, sis. Board meeting tomorrow to officially make me CEO. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Dad's legacy. I looked at the coordinates again, then at the watch that had revealed them. My father had built his empire on secrets. That's what everyone always said. But maybe, just maybe, his greatest secret wasn't in the company at all. It was hidden away in the Swiss Alps, waiting for someone smart enough to find the key. And he'd given that key to me. I opened my laptop and booked a flight to Switzerland. Marcus could have his millions and his CEO title. I had coordinates to follow, and something told me what waited at the end of them would be worth far more than money. Little did I know, I was about to uncover a truth that would shake our family's foundation to its core. The Swiss Alps loomed before me, their snow-capped peaks piercing through wisps of morning fog. After a 14-hour flight and a treacherous drive up winding mountain roads, I'd finally reached the coordinates from my father's watch. I double-checked the GPS on my phone. The location seemed to point to an old watchmaking workshop tucked away in a small village called Grindelwald. The building looked abandoned, its windows dusty, and its wooden sign faded with age. Horlogerie Weber, I whispered, reading the barely visible lettering. My father had mentioned this name once years ago when he caught me reading about vintage watchmaking techniques. He quickly changed the subject, but not before I saw something flash across his face. Was it fear? The door was locked, but I noticed something odd about the keyhole. It wasn't modern, it was ornate, antique, almost exactly the same size as. My hands trembling slightly, I pulled out my father's watch. The crown, when removed, was precisely the right shape. It fit perfectly into the lock. The door creaked open, revealing a workshop frozen in time. Wooden workbenches lined the walls, their surfaces covered in watchmaking tools and half-finished timepieces. Everything was coated in a thick layer of dust, except for one area. In the center of the room stood a massive safe, its surface gleaming as if it had been regularly maintained. On its door was an intricate mechanism that looked less like a conventional lock and more like the inside of a watch movement. "Oh, Dad," I breathed. "What were you hiding here?" Before I could examine the safe more closely, I heard footsteps behind me. I spun around to find an elderly man standing in the doorway, his sharp eyes taking in every detail of my presence. "So," he said in accented English, "Henry's daughter finally arrives. We've been waiting a long time for you, Olivia." I stepped back, startled. "Who are you? How do you know my name?" The man smiled, walking into the workshop with the confidence of someone who belonged there. "I am Klaus Weber. Your father and I. We had an arrangement. He knew one day you would come." My mind raced. Weber, the same name as on the shop sign. "My father never mentioned you." "No, he wouldn't have. Just as he never told you the truth about how he really built his fortune." Klaus ran his hand along one of the dusty workbenches. "This workshop holds secrets that would destroy everything your brother thinks he's inherited." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a watch, identical to the one my father had left me. "Your father wasn't just a businessman, Olivia. He was part of something much bigger. Something that started right here, in this workshop 70 years ago." Over the next hour, Klaus revealed a story that shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. The watch my father had left me wasn't just a timepiece. It was a key to unlocking the truth about Weber and Turner, my father's company. In 1952, Klaus's father and my grandfather had discovered something revolutionary, a watchmaking technique that could create mechanisms of unprecedented precision. But instead of patenting it, they kept it secret, using it to build special timepieces for powerful people who needed to coordinate exact timing across the globe. "Your father didn't build his fortune through normal business," Klaus explained. "He built it by being the keeper of time itself. Every major coordinated business deal, Every synchronized global transaction over the past 30 years, they all relied on our watches. My mind was spinning. But why keep it secret? Why not patent the technology? Claw's expression darkened, because what we created wasn't just about keeping time. It was about controlling it. These watches, when synchronized, can create moments, microseconds, where time itself seems to pause. Imagine what that means for global financial transactions, for coordinated military operations, for anyone who needs to be first in a world where milliseconds mean millions. I thought about Marcus sitting in a CEO's office, thinking he controlled everything. He had no idea that the real power of Weber and Turner lay hidden in this dusty workshop. Your father knew you were the only one who could be trusted with this, Klaus continued. He saw how you built your business from nothing, how you understood the soul of watchmaking, not just its profits. That's why he left you the watch. It's not just a key to this workshop, it's your invitation to join us. He turned to the gleaming safe and began adjusting its mechanism. The question is, are you ready to become a keeper of time? The safe door swung open, revealing rows of watches identical to mine, each one a key to power most people couldn't imagine. But more importantly, there were documents, proof of how Weber and Turner had really built its empire. Just then, my phone buzzed. Another text from Marcus. Just finished my first board meeting as CEO. Making lots of changes. Shame you're not here to see your little watch shop get bought out and demolished next month. I looked at Klaus, then at the safe full of secrets. What exactly are you offering? Partnership, he said simply. Your father's shares in the real Weber and Turner. The one your brother knows nothing about. The one that actually controls time. I thought about all the years I'd spent trying to prove myself to my family. Now I realized my father had been testing me all along, preparing me for something far bigger than a family business. When do we start? I asked. Klaus smiled, gesturing to the workbench. We already have. But first, I believe you have a board meeting to attend. 2 weeks later, I walked into Weber and Turner's headquarters during another board meeting. Marcus was at the head of the table, bragging about his plans to modernize the company. Oh look, he sneered when he saw me. Come to beg for a job? Maybe we can find you something in maintenance, fixing broken watches. I smiled, pulling out a stack of documents, copies of everything I've found in Klaus's safe. Actually, I'm here for a different kind of maintenance, maintaining the truth about how this company really operates. The blood drained from Marcus's face as he read the first page. Our mother, sitting nearby, gasped. You can keep your CEO title, Marcus, I said calmly, but from now on, you'll answer to the real board of directors, the one that deals in time itself. I walked out of that meeting not as the daughter with a broken watch, but as the keeper of my father's greatest secret. Marcus got his millions, but I inherited something far more valuable. The truth about time itself and the power to control it. Sometimes the greatest treasures aren't measured in money, but in microseconds. And sometimes a broken watch is exactly what you need to fix everything. As I returned to Klaus's workshop that evening, I took out my father's watch, my watch now, and smiled. In the end, he'd given me exactly what I deserved. Not a fortune, but a future. And time, as they say, was finally on